Well, here it is, Mega Man 2. I was going to do Doc Wily's Revenge next, but I hit a certain snag in that game called Quick Man. So that'll happen when it happens. I was hit a certain snag with the Sonic videos as well, because copyright trolls. I'll leave it at that. Kind of very depressing, actually, the state of YouTube at the moment. And as the text on screen says right now, this video is not a joke. It was intended to be a joke, because this is one of the easiest Mega Man games in existence, but when doing things no damage, things can suddenly get a lot harder, as the numbers at the end will showcase. Yes, Airman. Airman, he has a song dedicated to him. Go figure. He's not really worth talking about. Metal Man. This was my first attempt taking him on, and it kind of shows. So, Metal Man reacts to what you do, basically. You fire, he jumps and fires two metal blades at you. Once you know he does that, quite a piece of cake. The only thing worth mentioning about Metal Man is his hitbox is actually a lot larger than him. It's a bit of a weird thing with this game. The hitboxes are really, really wonky. And never in your favour with like one exception. I do apologise for the screeching cats in the background. I actually quite like the music in this game, it's just whoever the hell programmed it was really incompetent. As a result, we have a soundtrack with good musical pieces, but terrible instruments. I mean, bloody hell. The Gameboy could pull off better than this. There was no excuse. And here's a hot dog. This is one of two mid-bosses in the game, and yeah, that was pathetic. There's only one hot dog in the game as well, so there wasn't even the three of them. Yeah, a bit strange. Here we have Woodman. Woodman, he's not too difficult actually. His leaf shield isn't that effective against blocking your shots. Strangely, as demonstrated right there. So he falls quite quickly. There's also only 3 falling leaves. The thing to note about these falling leaves, their hitbox appears to be 16 by 16 pixels rather than the 8 by 16 that they look like. So you just gotta be sort of careful and know what you're positioning. But there's one thing that stopped this video from being an absolute joke. Hi Airman. He got a song dedicated to him for a reason. Airman in this game has 4 attacks, 2 of which are very easy to dodge. One of which is pixel perfect to dodge. And then his 4th attack is just plain outright dodgeable. I'm not joking. So this really comes down to being a battle of luck and attrition. So when a certain Mega Man Let's Player gets around to doing the Game Boy games, I do feel sorry for him when he does this level. Because not only is this a harder Airman level, Airman himself is more likely to tag you rather than dodgeable attack than he is in his NES version. Which is kind of a shame. I got really, really lucky there. He only pulled off the harder dodge attack once, and didn't at all try to do his undodgeable attack. And then we've got Clashman. Clashman. Clash, Crash, whatever. He works exactly the same as he does on the NES, only he's much easier. If you can believe that. Smaller blast radius. He's not as quick. He seems to be missing some frames of animation as well for some whatever reason. And this fight is pathetic. Although I think I get lucky at the end, because I think I would have been defeated if I had not defeated Clashman when I did. See, I'm doing it now. Well, the game calls him Clashman, I might as well call him Clashman myself. Well, this is an exciting battle. Really. So yeah, the vast bulk of the failures in this video come purely from Airman. That was the close call I was talking about right there. The other big batch was probably Wily himself. As terms of actually just defeating them, if you're not concerned about damage, The bosses in this game are really easy, and only Wily himself is a threat. But no damage does add another little bit of a clause to the whole thing. There's a random cutscene with a weirdly coloured Wily coming up. Although it's not quite as weird as Wily gets in the final battle. I don't know why that looks off, it just does. Interestingly, fun fact, did you know he actually has the eyebrow wiggle in this game inside the game data and it's not used? Yeah, that's a thing. Oh, and if you're wondering where I got these introductions from, the following introductions, much like the Game Gear game, I just made them myself. Really, they're not that hard to make, and I can do this sort of thing in my sleep. Hardman, his NES strategy sort of works, but it doesn't at the same time. One of the fists will always come back and try and hit you. I can't remember, and he doesn't even work at all on the right side of the screen. On the left, one fist will always come back to hurt you. So there's a bit of dodging involved here. Out of all the bosses, no damage wise, he's probably the third hardest to beat. But if you're not concerned about taking damage, he actually does so little damage, you can literally just stand there in the corner and shoot him to death. And he will barely have touched your life bar. I wish I was making that up. This game is really, really easy, but as soon as no damage clauses get into the fray, it's actually kind of challenging. And here's Needleman. Needleman is one of those bosses who, under normal circumstances, on most versions is a nightmare, but here he's got a very exploitable AI. Now, this is also another luck-based battle, in that if he uses Needle Cannon straight away, you can't dodge it. But, since he didn't, he does this. This is the only time in the game where the hit detection, the one hit detection is in your favour. Get a certain distance close enough to Needleman and he'll just try to use that ineffective attack. Really? So I lost a couple of attempts to Needleman purely because he used Needle Cannon straight away, which is pretty much undodgeable. And next up we have Magnet Man, who took a fair few attempts despite having a really easy pattern. I think I was getting tired by this point. And probably couldn't, you know, barely coherent English. That's my excuse. I was getting tired. Because Magnet Man is really exploitable. Get underneath him for his first two magnet missiles and then start running on the third. And he can't hurt you. He does have the magnet's polarity pull thing, he does. But he very rarely uses it in this game. Very, very rarely. On all my attempts, I saw it once. And I'm not sure how it took me so long to nail Magnet Man, actually. Coming up next is the only other mid-boss in the game. Unlike Hot Dog, there's actually two of these things, so I'll be showing off both of them. And you can actually just skip the second armor, funnily enough. They'll only spawn one hairball, and they do have the flea attack, it's just you're not likely to see it. Because of the layout of the rooms, don't actually get rid of the hairballs. So a little bit of that level to traverse till the next armor, and you'll see the problem with this one straight away. There's an escape route. You can just literally bypass this boss if you so wish. Actually, the only time I've seen the fleas is by going back up the ladder, in which case he'll use the fleas. So I'm not quite sure how they coded him, so it was a bit weird. And here's Top Man himself. Top Man is about as easy as it was on the NES. The only thing he has going for him is the screen crunch. This is the only boss in the game who wasn't seemingly reprogrammed to take advantage or disadvantage of the screen crunch. He acts pretty much exactly the same, and that's what he has going for him. This means certain things are slightly harder to dodge. Not that he's much harder, because he is still Top Man. And Top Man is easy whatever game he's in, really. And dead. That's the regular Robot Masters. I think it's Quint coming up. Quint, for those not in the know, is supposed to be Mega Man from the future. This game has a weird time travel storyline where Dr. Wily nicks Mega Man from the future and, in his wisdom, gives Quint a pogo stick to fight with. This is not one of Wily's best plans. And Quint falls very, very easily. He has the most health out of any Mega Man Classic boss, I think, as he doesn't even have a health bar. To quote someone else, he's a glorified mid-boss at best, but he does grant you one of the worst weapons in Mega Man history. So there's that. Yes, this fight is exactly as easy as it looks, and if you're wondering why my loss comes at the end, is because if you actually get cornered by the guy, you can't dodge. And I wasn't paying attention. So he did actually manage to hit me once. And now the Wily fight. This is the other one which took several attempts to do. And the most dangerous part about this fight is the transition from first form to second form. That bit is extremely dangerous. First form's pretty easy. Easy to dodge, easy to read attacks. The hitbox, the hit detection on the attacks is a bit wonky, but you can deal with that. So it's quite simple. He'll launch a bouncing bomb, which is much larger than it actually looks. He'll launch a tow missile, which is also much larger than it actually looks. I think Wily's hitbox is about right in this portion. And once he's down to half hit points, he'll change forms. It's this transition which is where 90% of the failures came up. See, he'll immediately go into his next attack as soon as the health bar loads, which you have to dodge like that. It is very, very easy to mess up. After this point, the battle's cake. As you can predict what he's doing. The bouncing bomb can't hit you whilst you're in the corner, seemingly, until it explodes, in which case the small projectiles are of a hitbox larger than the radius of the sun, but never mind. And now the final form. The final form isn't... I would have called it a hard boss had I not found this exploit, which you're about to see. Slide from the end of the room and slide back. Take 2 steps, and his second attack cannot hurt you, meaning only the missile is a threat. And as for why I'm jumping like a maniac, other than trying to hit Wily, I'm trying to make sure I can slide underneath it, because, well, having to not take that thing out is a good thing. And that's how you beat Wily in Mega Man 2 without taking damage. At least this version. Overall, I can't hate this game. It's still quite fun, in spite of its faults, in spite of the weird sprites, strange physics, badly coded music, and nice touch that this is like one of the only times Mega Man gets a weapon from the final boss and then uses it. Most games which have that animation don't even bother showing him using the weapon, but he actually uses the weapon. That's actually quite clever. I like that. And now for the absolutely hideous credits music. I can forgive every other piece of music, but not this one. What else is there to talk about? I think I've run out of things to talk about. It's going to go through all the cast, rather than the people who made the game. But probably for good reason. It's not a bad game, it's just not a good one either. It's still one of my more played Gameboy games though, admittedly. Sometimes you just want a game you can play through on a car journey, and this game certainly fits the bill of car journey game. You then use the rest of the Mega Man series to, well, play on holiday. But this is the car journey game. Just be sure to have the sound turned off, otherwise people around you are going to get slightly annoyed. Incidentally, this game also actually has one of some of my favourite tracks in the series, bizarrely enough. I think Gameboy Airman and the final stage themes are some of the best Mega Man's put out. It is just such a shame whoever coded the sound was an incompetent boob, which is the main problem with this game, I think. They had no idea how to code for the Game Boy, and therefore you got screeching cats instead of instruments. Kind of a shame. The actual songs themselves aren't bad. I think the guy responsible for composing the songs apologised on Twitter at some point. But I don't think it was his fault. I think it was whoever. It really was whoever coded the sound into the game. Go find either pitch-corrected versions of this soundtrack or remixes of this soundtrack, and the music's actually pretty good. In fact, I'm going to be using a piece of music from this game in the end when I showcase the failure rate, which is also remixed from this soundtrack and shows you just how decent the soundtrack actually is when done correctly. I would love to see a version of this game with a corrected soundtrack. Out of all the Game Boy games, this is the only one that felt like a Game Boy game, and not a cut-down NES game. The only other one to do that? Mega Man 5. This game actually took advantage of the fact you were on the Game Boy and you didn't have any screen room to move in. Only about 2 instances of required weapon use as well, to bypass that. This is a game I do come back to quite a bit, actually. As I said, I can't hate it. I really can't. I think that's about all we've got time for. I'm going to keep talking because, as I mentioned early in the video, I'm getting struck with copyright notices for videos without my sultry voice over the top of them. Which is kind of annoying because, well, the word copyright trolls comes to mind, as in these people do not own the copyrights, but insist they do anyway. Yeah, YouTube's kind of broken. I'm going to be seeking alternative means to upload. It's incidentally, if you're wondering why there's even further delay on the Sonic videos, well, I think I've just revealed it. Yeah, kinda bad. I'm glad I can still upload long videos, actually. So I've got a dispute going on at the moment, but for some reason my account still seems to be in good standing. Well, that was Mega Man 2 on the Game Boy, and once the cast list goes on by, we should see the failure rate. And I think I've described exactly why there were failures. And by failures, I don't mean these bosses defeated me, I mean I just got hit. It's as simple as that. That's what I count as a failure in these videos. So it's what sort of always counted as a failure in these sort of videos. Simply taking damage. As simply beating the bosses is really quite easy. But as Airman and Wily proved, even the easiest of games can be tricky when you added no damage clauses. So, while yes, you can beat Airman, it's going to take you a few hours to do so. Oh dear. Oh, we're almost at the end of the credits and we get to see the list. One of those stupid games that doesn't reset automatically. I hate that. And here we go. Airman took about 80 attempts. I lost track eventually. Wally definitely took 35 and 90% of those were just a transition. Hardman is still pretty difficult by all stretches of the imagination. The fact the trick no longer works in this version is why he had so many attempts failed against him. Woodman was me simply trying to learn the pattern and getting used to the fact his leaves were about as big as the NES version. Magnet Man, I have no excuse. I have no idea why that took so many attempts. He's so simple. And oddly enough, Tama. Tama, the first Tama took all 5 attempts there. I'm not sure why either. He's not exactly difficult. It's just, I think I was just playing badly. But oh well, the rest of them speak for themselves. Metal Man and Clash had no attempts. Quint I've already explained. The hot dog got lucky in that I wasn't paying attention on one of the attempts. And I think everything speaks for itself, really. And with that, I'll say, hopefully see you soon, depending on how these disputes go, because I am currently sick to death with what YouTube is doing. Beyond sick to death. So, we'll see. But there, I will catch you later.